my gosh.
Hey,
Hello, Tammy.
hello, Julie.
Well, well, this is just gonna, yep. Do you see Tammy's in the way? But it says 100. This is our
Yep,
100th episode,
yep.
y'all. I mean, can you believe it? I can't believe we did 100 of them.
I can't either. Oh my goodness.
Went by fast, it seems like, huh?
It did, it did. Where did the time go? As I said, I know. Yeah,
I don't know. I tell you, I how
I
how
know.
how did I get to be old?
I know, right?
um,
Oh, we all think that one.
Welcome everybody to Two Psychic Moms. It is June 8th, and I'm Julie Hawkins, and I'm with Tammy Langowski. And Tammy, how would you like to say a little bit about who you are? And
Oh, all righty. So, Julie and I are both intuitive readers and advisors. Whatever Julie likes to call herself, that's kind of how I refer to myself. And so you can reach me at tammysintuitive.com is my website. I have a contact form there if you're interested in any private sessions. And then I do a lot of channel messages on social media, on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook as Tammy's Intuitive Services. So that's the best way to get a hold of me. How about you, Julie?
I always just say I'm a psychic because people understand that
Yeah.
mostly. Um, but I work through the Akashic Records and through a recently acquired teacher in the unseen world who came from many galaxies away, far, far in a galaxy far, far away, and whose name is Ellery and is here with me today. And so I give readings, and I'm think I'm gonna start doing my own. I don't want to say channel chats, but I channel too, and I want to keep doing that. So I will post those either or and on. I have a Biz Psychic channel on YouTube, which I have already a lot of channeled calls, channeled information on there. And then I'm deciding maybe I'll just go do Facebook Live and do them. I'm not sure. So look for me on either Biz Psychic on YouTube or Biz Psychic. I can't remember whether one of them uses the or doesn't on Facebook. And maybe you'll start seeing my channeled information on there as well. Otherwise, readings, always readings. I do 30-minute and 55. And yeah, they're like, all right, we're ready to go. So as you can see behind Tammy, it says 100th. And not only is it our 100th episode, it is our last episode as Two Psychic Moms.
Yeah, we decided that this was a good number. I'm going to say for my behalf that I thoroughly enjoy doing this with Julie. And so please understand there's nothing going on that's negative between Julie and I. It's all good. But we have done a lot of episodes and we have appreciated all of your questions that you have sent us. I do want to slip into my Tammy's channel chats. I'll be doing occasionally, same thing, if maybe if there's some questions posed to me, that's for the good of all. But really, I'm available for my private sessions, as we both talked about. So yeah, so we're thinking that this is a good number, this is a great number, and we have so many wonderful things for you to go back and look at. We're both available still in just, separate ways for sessions, so it's not like we're completely gone. So yeah, that's kind of what I think I wanted to say. How
So
about you, Julie?
I think so. Both of us write, and one day I'm hoping to a book I'm working co-authoring with somebody on. I hope one day that'll be published. Um, that is a book for entrepreneurs who um, can get too easily sucked into these high priced masterminds. And so we tell you how to watch out for that. And then all the things that you'll learn in there that you don't need to pay tens of thousands of dollars for to learn. So we just decided we were going to pretty much give that away as much as we could. So we're working on that. Both Leanne and I have had some issues going on, and so it's kind of put that book on a slower pace. But the reason I bring that up is that Tammy writes also, and Tammy, am I outing you, Tammy? Because Tammy said she wanted to write again, and
Yeah, I keep getting nudges, have been for so long for my guides. And I just need some freed up time to really, because there's, you know how how our lives are. There's always something else. So whether it's home projects I got to get done, but writing is something definitely I'm getting closer and closer to getting back on that horse and starting to do that. So yeah.
you're a topic.
Yeah, it's well, I have several ideas actually, but
Yeah.
those will come later. It's really kind of this one I think is going to be about my journey. It will be unique in my story. Not saying it's a unique idea, but it is something that I have been nudged to talk about. Um, and so of kind of my intuitive, journey. And yeah, so that's what I'm thinking, unless I get a bug to hop on another idea that I've got and go with that. But for now, that's kind of what, I started 10 years ago. 10 years ago, Julie, I
Yeah.
started
Let's finish that,
writing a
Tammy.
little bit. It's time. Yeah,
That there are so many books out there of people telling their story, and you know what? There can be so many more because
I agree.
people um who who are sticking their toes in the water to get connected with their own skills will see themselves in your story, or somebody, they need to see themselves in those
Yeah,
stories. So
yeah,
absolutely encourage and support you to do that.
yeah. Thank you. And same for you.
Thank you.
Lots of good blessings to you with your book journey.
Well,
There's
that's why I
no
wrote
doubt
my
journey.
boundaries book. I mean, I think
Right.
so many of, at least, these self-help books, if you will, or memoirs of types or whatever, they come out because we yearn to share our stories, and that's how I wrote my first one. Anyway,
Awesome.
yeah, that's where we're at. So really, I do want to, and I know Tammy will either say something or has, and will continue to say, we really love you and appreciate your everlasting, undying, unwavering support in asking those questions. We wouldn't be here if you hadn't asked those questions.
Mhm.
And some of them have been remarkable questions that I'm like, wow, where did that come from?
Yeah.
And so yeah, you can keep asking them. We'll just answer them in different ways and different times. So keep asking.
Yeah.
All right. So along that line, there's kind of multiple questions, as Daphne often does, and I love that. And so it's one topic with multiple questions in it. So shall I read?
Sure. Would you like to read it? I got it right here too.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Um, I don't have a preference. You want to read? You want me to read? I'll read.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. All right. So and by the way, Daphne, I hope you're feeling better. A lot of something stuff going around. So
Yeah.
all right. So
Yeah.
Daphne says, may I ask about gods, goddesses, and deities like Inanna, Isis, Ganesh, etc.? Do gods, goddesses, and deities have emotions such as jealousy and anger? I always thought humans personify gods, goddesses, and deities to have human emotions, attachments, and ego. So I'm going to continue reading this whole thing, and then we'll go back and pick it apart, okay?
Okay.
She says, it is an odd concept to me that higher vibrational beings would act out of lower vibrational emotions and egos. Yet I was guided that altars for gods, goddesses, and deities need to be separate than those for ancestors, because some of the gods, goddesses, and deities will get jealous over altar space. I am confused how a supposedly higher vibrational spiritual being would get petty over physical space if these beings transcend space and time.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't get jealous. We'll just say that. Okay.
Right. Yeah. So we're right there with you, Daphne, that we would be perplexed, confused over this as well. Um, Goddesses, deities. Thank you. That kind of says everything. They just said they are not an ego. So they're, we can pretty much, Julie and I are probably, we're already knowing that, right? Of what we're going to be told on that. Good question though, Daphne, right? Because there is something that, is they're telling me how human beings have put so much on that. This is all human stuff, with ego, right? That have, put this idea that there's these attack, I mean, these well, basically ego, I'm just trying to read it as I'm going here. Jealousy, anger, emotions, that's little bit of, it reminds me of like religious control too, that same kind of idea where you believe it this way, a little bit of fear tactic maybe put in there. Gods and goddesses do not participate in anger, jealousy. I'm getting this overwhelming sense of love right now. And that's what they have for us. So please understand that, no, I mean, what I'm getting, no, they don't have these emotions. We would agree they're in a higher vibration. So they have no reason to be in that lower vibration of those feelings. And about the altar space, so that he's got that yet I was guided that altars for gods, goddesses, and deities need to be separate than those for ancestors, because some of the goddesses, and deities would get jealous over altar space. Never. That's what I'm getting. Simply, mine's going to be pretty short and sweet. My answer. Yeah, because again, we're going to agree with you. I am confused how a supposedly higher vibrational spiritual being would get petty over physical space if these beings transcend space and time. Yeah, absolutely. We're just in agreement with that, Daphne. And so that, I mean, really in a nutshell for us, that, yeah, no.
So we have a little bit more to say about that. So we have two perspectives for you to consider. Okay. We're not saying they're right or wrong, or true or false, or real or not real. We're just going to give you a couple of options here. So the first option is that deities aren't even real, or gods or goddesses aren't real. They were something that was made up by humans so that they could have guidance, we'll say, from a different source than maybe what they were given in their tribes or clans. Okay, we're not saying they are or aren't. That's just an option for you. Okay, if that were the case, there's, first of all, there's no jealousy, there's no altar envy, there's none of that. That's just ridiculous. You can, and by the way, you can put anything you want on your altar. So gods, goddesses, and deities are, some of them are based on historical figures. I think Ganesh is Ganesh, wait, which is the compassion one? Oh, I forget.
I don't know. I mean,
I do know, but I can't remember.
I knew what Ganesh was at one time, and it's slipping my mind.
It's not Ganesh, but in any event, there's the goddess of compassion, and she's just escaping me right now. But so when these characterizations, these personas were I don't want to say invented, but that were invented. It was for a need, these clans, these tribes, they felt like they had a need to create a higher vibrational being. Not to say that they weren't contacted like we are for gods, I mean, not for gods, but for beings in a non-physical form. We all have got, Tammy and I have guides that we talk to. I'm not sure that I would consider them a god or a deity. Uh, they do have a sense of humor, though.
I do.
um, they're like, really, you wouldn't consider us a god? We think we're kind of godlike, anyway. Um, for humans, they could seem that way. Now, the second kind of perspective we want to bring into this is that if and when people on this planet were visited by aliens and were brought into and were able to, I'll say, meet them. Okay, they actually met them. Okay, or had a kind of meeting with them. Then those became godlike to them. All right. I mean, if you had an alien come down and it's alien craft, you might, long back before there was technology and all those things, think that those were gods. So, how those came about could be those two options. Okay. I mean, and maybe there's more. So, based on that, they are images or characterizations interpreted by humans. So when you have something like that, then a human would perhaps uh, get in touch with their own emotions of anger or jealousy and project those onto something else or someone else. Oh, you humans, you're so interesting. So that's sort of the background of all that. To get into your specific questions, um, whether they are aliens or beings that are higher vibrational from the unseen world, you don't see them, obviously, because they're unseen. They they probably don't have those kinds of emotions like humans. Again, that's a projection. Okay. Yeah. Um, I mean, Allery is saying for Allery laughed when I read this out loud. He was just like, jealousy, anger. Why would we even remotely have something like that, right? Um, so yeah, it's kind of just a silly, great question, silly
Yes.
notion. Great question, silly notion. There is no anger, um, jealousy or anything like that, and nobody's going to get petty about having space on an altar. In fact, they are like, again, that's a human thing. We don't need you to have an altar for us. If it makes you feel good and you can connect to something that you perceive is a higher vibrational being, then go for it. If that happens on uh, in some place that you've created an altar and it allows you that space to meditate and to be in touch with unseen beings, then that's fine. It's it's such a human thing to ask a question like that. So we're not sure who told you that, but that's
Yeah, and I think there are people that do feel that way, about it. I mean, as far as these emotions and everything, because I'm not that savvy about gods, goddesses, and so forth. But
yeah. Sorry, I just remembered it was Kuan Yin. Okay, carry on.
no, um, no, just that, So, but I think that there's a familiarity with that idea that there's some kind of emotions that are attached to them that way. Um, And yeah, we are the ones that are placing those emotions actually on that. But the energy itself of a god or a goddess um, is of the light. So yeah,
I mean, if you think about it, to be to be put on that kind of a, we'll call it a pedestal, they've been perceived to have that kind of a higher vibrational um, persona and give that kind of information. And it's just, why would it's so contradictory as to
right.
it's so,
Agreed.
I don't even know if I can phrase it because it's so contradictory. So
Mhm.
it just makes no sense. So I don't know who's telling you these things, Daphne. Don't listen to them. All right. Was there anything else? And yes, you were right. She says, I'm confused, and there's no reason to be confused. You doubted it because it wasn't true.
Mhm.
All right. So is there anything you want, because I could actually answer one or two more of her questions.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Do you have the okay, perfect.
All right. So I'll just read through these and then you pick whatever you think you want to go with. How's
Okay.
that? All right. So some of Daphne's follow-on questions were, can you cover anything that has to do with our the outlook for America? In other words, during Trump's days, these were a heated topic that maybe we can conclude this episode. Ooh, I have so much to say about that.
Oh, I'll pass on that one. Yeah,
Yeah.
gladly so.
This might be good for you. She says, what's the climate outlook, or what's climate going to look like in the next 10 years? And then a next one is, well, this was something I had said. She said, will we go through a reset like you mentioned, and what would that look like and when? And then she said, if you guys have any questions for each other that you might want to ask. But so anything spark your interest?
Well, the climate, we can kind of just see what we get for that in the next 10 years or so, because really that is on a lot of people's minds, right? Wow, it's been kind of weird, in many places all over the world, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe not, but um, at least, for kind of what we might see, what I was seeing as you asked that question was their thumb was going up and down, like climate is again, sort of like what it is a bit now. It's like, it's almost where it's a bit unpredictable. And so, guys, when I ask that question, does it feel like, we're again 10 years out? I know time doesn't really exist, but you get what I mean. Future, the best we can read out there as far as climate, will things start to kind of settle down again and be in what we consider a more normal pattern for the different seasons? Or are we going to see still just where everybody's like going, wow, it's so weird that it's doing this? Or does it feel like everybody is settled more into a predictable pattern for the most part? It's not going to be predictable. We do feel there is more to come of the same. And there are, I even see these surges in ocean, like surges of water. And it does feel like there is more, they showed me dry air and they went, they like cough. So I'm not sure what that's about. Except, sorry, more of what is a bit now. We're not seeing that really changing so much. I feel like we as humans are going to be a little bit of how do we put it, guys? I see what you're showing me. It's like, I don't want to use the word victims of it, but that's the only thing that's coming to my mind of what the climate's going to be. In other words, we're just here, no control over it still, for the most part. We don't see you really coming to terms with this till I'm getting way out there, way future out there, where we can start looking at actual climate control. Um, but for right now, we're just going with the tide, basically. And that feels like that's coming up. Um, is this going to be something really concerning for us? Not necessarily concerning. It could be in some instances, but nothing that you really can't handle or that you might even get used to. So then now they show me a parka, so it just tells me that the climate's going to be maybe different than what we think it is normally. And we've already been seeing that. I mean, so it sounds to me like we might see more of the same if we put it out 10 years. Climate control gets addressed eventually, but I can't tell you when. I don't have years on that or what year that is. But it's out there.
It's so depressing.
Huh?
It's depressing,
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
we agree. We agree with everything that you said. Um,
Yeah,
I hate to be the bearer of bad news. I really do.
I know. I mean, I want it to go back to the norm. Who doesn't? Or I mean, you know what I mean by that. There's always
Yeah.
positive and negative to that, but something
It
we can,
will,
count on.
there will be times where we will, this is a kind of an overused phrase, but it's true, where we will have to choose what is easy versus what is right. And so far, it's been more of what is easy than what is right. It's easy to ignore, and it's not right. And people are going to die and suffer. But there will be more of that for a variety of reasons.
Hmm.
So we're not going to get into that too much. But um, the more, all right, I'm going to back up a little bit, and I'm going to go out on a limb here, which is never a good feeling for me. But I'm going to do it anyway. So we saw, knew, felt, heard, understood. You wanted to know about Trump. Can he run for president behind bars? Because that's where he's going to be. Yeah, and it's going to be a whole series of things for him. Um, I got way more than that I'm a little reluctant to say, but you, earlier in the week, I got that you will either hear something about him being indicted either tomorrow or next week. Um, yeah, he's got many problems. He's caused many problems, and I was sitting watching TV earlier, and I heard, he's going to have to pay the piper. The piper is coming to collect, and whatever that, however you feel, I mean, that's just the way it is now. um where do I want to go with this? Because, so I'm going to go back to Daphne's question about, will we go through a reset like you mentioned, and how would that look, and when? What would that look like, and when? I'm getting more and more that there will be a reset, and I wish I could give you a better phrase and a better understanding of what that means. I almost, it almost feels like, um it almost feels like there's going to be a real battle on the planet for these few to be in power. I mean, there really already is. It already is happening when you see people like Putin and um, uh, whatever the guy's name is in China. I can't remember this moment. And the other guy in Korea. I know their names. It's like they're blocking me from saying it. It's really funny. Um, but and a person like Trump and a lot of people of his kind, they really want to have power. And ultimately, what will happen is there will be a battle for this. And if they win, then they'll kill each other off. We don't know that that's going to happen. It's a little too far out for us to see that, but it is it is not out of the realm of possibility. Um, and if you are not white and male, which is and older, that's a big part. I mean, you're kind of going to suffer consequences unless you're old white male. So, um, and again, you're seeing some of that now. So it is it's just a time of reckoning, and we don't necessarily see what we'll call a reset on the planet as a bad thing, where so much of the population is kind of takes a hit and there's a lot of suffering. But then there's this reset where people are like, we're not going to stand for this anymore. And they rise up. Um, and your planet will suffer in the meantime for it with climate crises. There's going to be a lot of it, and it's not going to be pretty. And oh, by the way, this is going to be a big drain on your electrical grid. So you prepare that you're going to start seeing power outages from a lot of these things that are happening. I'll tell you honestly, I was thinking about getting one of those portable power generators, so, or a Tesla wall or whatever they're called, because there's just, it's going to happen. The electrical grid is going to take a hit from overusage and maybe from other things we don't know. So, I don't I don't know whether to share what I also got recently. It's just unusual. Do you have anything that you wanted to add to what
I just, yeah, I mean, I agree with this, concerning about the, electrical grid, like you said. I mean, think about just all these, in our area, all these wind gusts we've been having and things that we used to not have to this degree, and then suddenly somebody's power is out. Way more power outages than we've experienced that I can remember. Um, so yeah, I don't know if there's a reset. It's continuing for a while until we just figure it out. But that's what's, welcome to the Earth plane again. I mean, this
exactly.
is where we do this kind of stuff. You know.
Exactly. You're
Um,
100% right.
yeah, it's like, that. I mean, there's always hope. We know that. Not to sound so negative about it, but we get to be a kindergarten here learning stuff and figuring things out with new challenges. And some of these things are worldwide new challenges we have. Um, and then let's see how we do individually, how we do collectively with it. The support's there. Our guidance and our support is always there. So don't feel like any supreme being is given up on us. That's not the case. But we are here to see what we can do, and that might be challenging for a bit. It just might be.
Yeah. So yeah, I think maybe what I'll do is the other things that I got, I will share on my own time and place, whatever that is. I want to sit with that for a little while longer before. And for me, I get these things and it's like, what does it mean? Because Tammy and I've talked about this before. We get this drop in of information, and it's a feeling, it's a knowing. It's sometimes you hear and and it's all of these things at once, and you have to try to put it together and figure out, well, what does that mean?
Yeah.
What can I share with you that I think it means? Um and that's where I'm at. So
Yeah.
I'll do that a little bit down the road. All right.
Okay.
So let's see, is there anything else coming up? What are
Um,
we coming up? Summer.
yeah. Summer of like what summer's going to be like. Is that what you're talking about?
Well, hot. I mean,
Yeah.
we have here in the Bay Area, it seems like we've switched from like our hottest times are now September and October, where I don't think they were really like that. But maybe it was, but it was never really that hot.
Not as much as yeah, right. I
When
agree.
I moved up to the Bay Area, people were like, air conditioning. What do you need that for? It's only hot
Yeah.
times out of the year. And I'm like,
Right. I know, remember that? That was a thing. It's true that we don't really need it. But we sure had some.
mine's going, if it isn't on hot, it's on cold. Mine is on right now.
Mm,
I use it a lot.
mhm.
So it's gonna get hotter and it's gonna, yeah, it's gonna get hotter.
Yeah, I think we just got extremes of a lot of different weather patterns. That's what it feels like. Feels like the weather patterns are going to be more extreme, and they already have. So I don't know if it's more so even than what we're seeing. But yeah, when it gets hot and dry, it gets dry and hot. I mean, it gets there. Um, and then, when the rain comes in, whoosh, it's really coming in. But
We also think that there may be more bickering. It feels like people are bickering about resources. In other words, remember when we had the pandemic and you couldn't get anything on the shelf?
mhm.
We think you're going to see some more of that again too. It might be far down the line, but you're going to see like shortages of things. We think just really far down the line.
Yeah, I would say to start conserving water. Certainly not a new message, but I just saw an image of like somebody holding up water, and that concerned me just now because it felt like it was a scarcity. Like when you know what I mean? Like you're holding it up, like, look at this, like, like drinking it and like, and that just made me a little nervous because that's just what I saw. So, let's be careful as best we can. I mean, I know, but
I'll leave you with my thought about it's depressing for me. I'm not going to lie, it's depressing for me, but I think I may have mentioned this in a reading before or a reading or two where I did sort of a future self meditation, and I did it twice. And each time I was told, you're not coming back for about 400 years. And I was like, I don't care.
okay.
It's a blink of an eye in the scheme of things. But as I started intuiting more of what's happening and what's ahead, I thought, I'm fine with that.
Yeah,
It's not going to be nice. It's not going to be
yeah,
pretty. It's
yeah,
going to be a lot of struggles, and a lot of people are going to suffer. And I personally, I don't want to be here to see it. So,
yeah.
so those of you who are young, um, like Tammy said, conserve the water, conserve your resources. Um, Dollars are going to be precious. You need to cash money is going to be, even though they're, a lot of places don't take cash. It's really odd. I don't know whether they're trying to phase it out or it's going to become precious to the point of if you have it, you're um
Yeah,
especially.
it is going to be interesting to see, yeah, the physical dollars and, paper money and all of that. Is that going to survive, guys? Well, no, not really. You are in the world of plastic, that's what they're showing me, referring to cards, I'm sure. Um, and it is true that in time, this way, you know what? And they're giving me this feeling like it's already outdated. I don't personally have a feeling about that. I still like paper money personally, but they're almost giving me impressing that upon me like it's already like outdated.
It
So
is. There are places that just will not accept cash
yeah,
anymore.
they say no cash. Yeah, which is like, wow.
There are banks that will not no longer take cash or give it's very strange. I'm like,
Yeah.
banks? But yeah, they're doing away with it. So um have a cushion, save it, put it somewhere that you can, because I think ultimately you're not going to be trading in that, and it might become a precious commodity that you can, what gold probably used to be. It's like, yeah, I got the gold coin, and so I can make things happen because I got the gold coin. um I don't, I'm asking, should they turn their paper money in for gold? They said some of it, not a bad idea. Paper money is, after all, just paper, even though it is backed by, it doesn't say it's backed by gold or silver or something like that.
Mhm.
On your money, it actually says something like that. But it's kind of in a weird sort of way a return to the old west.
No, huh?
That was what you traded in. You had a gold nugget, or you had gold coins or silver coins, and that's what you traded with, um, among other things. But paper money wasn't really a big thing then. It was, yeah. Interesting. I think there's some follow-on questions there, Daphne. I think you should ask them. Send them to me and I'll do more on that.
Yeah, because the world is changing. Bottom line, we know it, and no surprise to hear that. But the world is evolving. In what way? Not evolving. I don't know if that's to a better point, but it is changing, and it is going to be different for those souls who wish to, the future souls who wish to incarnate um, on the earth. It's going to be interesting. So
I'm gonna ask
yeah,
you, I know what I know what I think, and maybe we'll hear what my guys think too. I'm gonna ask you and to ask your guys, what do they think? Because this is a big controversy right now about AI.
that's something I'm going to be addressing soon. Um,
Yeah.
it's here to stay.
Definitely.
That's the first thing I'm hearing. Yeah, it's here to stay. What is their take on it, you mean? Like, what do they feel about it? Like, if it will be good for us? You're
Well,
evolving. That's all
what?
they're saying. They said you're evolving.
Oh, wow.
That's their answer to that. They're not giving it a good or a bad. It's this is where we're headed. Or
Definitely.
already have been, you know.
So what I got, whether it was me or them, I'm not really sure, but I mean, I think this is just common sense. There, it will be used for good things, which it already is being used. It has been used for already a number of years. And then there are people who will use it with bad intent.
Yeah.
And it needs to, your government and other governments need to start looking at this and regulating it in some way so that those bad actors can be caught and punished, because you're going to see things coming up in the next political cycle next year, where people are creating these deep fake videos and audios that people are going to come out and say that wasn't me, and you're going to see that. You are
Yeah.
so
It's like everything. For all the good, there's just the not so good. And yeah, in
exactly.
hoping that, can be monitored correctly.
So here's what I would say. I would invite people to think about all the positive uses for artificial intelligence. Could it be used to reprogram the cells in your body to do certain things? Um,
I'm
for
sure that's being explored, right? It's got to be.
for health reasons, to do away with, like diabetes, or to program cells to regrow new nerves or something for, ouch, that was the cat, for spinal cord injuries. I mean, I think this is where you're going to see people experimenting a lot with new novel approaches for AI. That's what they're saying,
Definitely. Agreed.
which is good news for
But
probably
that's the evolvement. That's where we're headed for sure. Yeah.
is evolving for sure.
Yeah.
All right. So if you have any thoughts or comments,
No, we just want to say again, thank you so much for those of you who have been on this journey with us of viewing our two psychic moms. And like we said, we've got lots of videos to go reflect on. If you haven't seen any of them, Julie and I are both approachable. What's a word? You can get a hold of us, both of us, and you know how to do that. So yeah, so just thank you so much for everybody who has supported two psychic moms. Julie and I will still be getting together, and just kind of seeing each other here and there. So anyway,
oh, good. This is not a bad thing.
no, no,
Tammy said to me, I think we've addressed it all or most of it. And I said, you know what? You're right. So let's step off and close it on a good note, right?
yeah, absolutely.
Thank you to Rudy also, and to, was it Jeannie or Janae?
Oh,
Janae?
Janae, yes, Janae and Daphne, the three of you in
Oh,
particular.
exactly.
And if we're leaving anybody out, we love you. Thank you so much for yeah, sending the questions and any comments that you've made and so forth. It's great.
Yep. We love you. We appreciate you so much. And this has been just a great ride.
Yeah, it has
So
been
we're
fun.
on to new things.
Yep.
So we'll see you in the future.
All right, take care. Mwah.